Like I said in the beginning, there are four categories of complexity. What are their sources? The four sources are the structural complexity, which comes from your infrastructure, like your supply chain landscape, your vendors, manufacturing sites, distributors, retailers, transport providers, third party, fourth party. So the more spread out that is, the more complex the supply chain becomes. Again, if you have the proper procedures, processes, robust planning systems to manage that, you can handle it. It's not an issue, it's not a threat. Supply chain drivers are your sites, your inventory, your systems. So, and they can become supply chain obstacles if you don't manage them properly. Then comes the operational complexity, processes, multi-stage processes. Think of when we talk about push processes and pull processes and the dividing borderline. Push processes from the start of manufacturing process right up to the differentiation stage where you finally make a decision which version of the product is going to become assemble to order, make to order, make to stock. So assemble to order, you stop at a pre-finished stage, and then from there you decide against the customer orders how to finish the final product where based on where it's going. For example, you're packaging orange juices and orange juice or other fruit juices, and you bottle them without labeling, and then label them only when order comes in. So how many customers you are dealing with, what are the variety, that becomes your processing span and testing and validation inspection strategy. Validation, again, your processes should be validated. Each time you change a process, any element of the process, if you are a regulated industry, for example, pharmaceuticals or other, you have to apply for the change and then get it approved before you can do a commercial run. So the change management in those areas can be very daunting depending on the nature of the change. That's where you see sometimes we shoot also in the foot how we include some very specific elements in our licensing. At the time of product development, if we have a specific catalog number that we used in the process, instead of generalizing it and making it generic, we add a brand name, for example, or vendor name or catalog number from a specific vendor. Now that is licensed now. Now, if you want to change, you have to go back and redo the license, submit a change control, and demonstrate that the change is okay, approval, and can pass. And instead of that, if you had a generic this definition or generic formula that you can switch from one vendor to vendor, that gives you more leeway, more flexibility, and does not tie you up with something that becomes more complex to deal with. Just an example. Product complex, extensive bill of materials, and product variants, engineering change, again, change control, and life cycle management. So bill of materials can be structured in such a way that you can combine the steps like sub-assemblies to make it not so deep that the MRP systems takes a long time to run, and there are a lot of SKUs we call SKU proliferation that causes more complexity in the master data. And master data management itself is a huge challenge. You can have the best system in the world, you can have best ERPs, best AI. However, if the master data is not accurate, is not maintained properly, then the entire process becomes questionable. So that's the third one, product complexity. And the environmental complexity, things that you cannot control. The first three are pretty much under control. You can go back and do things better next time. There's an opportunity. Here, this is something that you just have to be able to manage, define, defend, or handle as they're thrown at you as a company. Regulatory requirements, new regulatory, for example, you are an automobile manufacturer, and there is a change in emissions control requirement. It's something you cannot define yourself. You have to just be able to respond to it. Change the processes, change the specification, change the manufacturing requirements, change your vendors if they cannot supply, And geopolitical risks, we see all the time, it's becoming more and more frequent. Every year, there's something going on somewhere which causes a problem, issue with the supply, logistics, transportation, sea routes, and those things. Trade restrictions, when companies decide that they need a trade barrier, they will either put customs barriers or put such requirements that's hard to manage. And sustainability mandates, very important. Governments, regulators want the corporations to be sustainable, their processes, their affluents, their emissions, and as they become tighter, it's very difficult to compete and be economical and get the product to the customer at the lowest possible cost. So those add to your cost. So these four categories of the other sources of complexity, how things become complex, and you have to deal with that. And the companies, those have robust processes, robust supply chain partners, vendors, they are better positioned to manage supply chain than the ones who don't have internal processes. For example, sales and operational planning process. We had a discussion a couple of weeks ago on that. Sales and operational planning process is a central process in supply chain management. Companies who run a very good S&OP process, they have a mechanism to deal with changes, to deal with new challenges. But if you don't have a very well run and a smoothly running and robust supply processes, then you might have problems.